Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers, away from the numbers.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of There's Still Time, the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhammer.
And we're not joined by Steve. He's probably in a football coma because
Oh, man.
it's what a feast of football we have had this weekend. We're recording this on Sunday night, and we've had World Cup qualifiers, we've had Euro games, we've had Copa America kicking off. I've watched games in the A-League. I think my eyes are like ball-shaped, but I guess they kind of are anyway, hence them being called eyeballs. But it's been a fantastic weekend. Are you footballed out yet, Zach?
Oh, football? No, definitely not. But it has been. This is one of those magical times. I guess usually the Copa isn't at the same time as a major other.
No, I
tournament.
think it's July usually.
Yeah, I think they're like a separation. So it was nice today to have some other kind of football.
Oh, but then of course the Euros isn't usually on in odd years.
Oh yes, that's maybe what it is.
Because this was meant to be 2020 Euro.
Right, that makes more sense.
I haven't actually watched the second Copa game yet. I just haven't had time. But I fast forwarded through the Brazil game, which was crazily not the big blowout I was expecting after you had told me what had happened with all the Venezuelan team. So if anyone doesn't know, fill people in what happened with the Venezuelan team.
I didn't tell you, but was it someone else who told you? But
Maybe it was Will on the. Someone told us on our stream yesterday.
Yeah, they all got COVID, didn't they?
Yeah, a big chunk of them. They're going to be back for the third game.
But they allowed them to bring in half a dozen to a dozen extra players. Because I was looking at their roster because Kirk and I are going to play it on FIFA, and we were choosing teams, and I was looking at their roster, and I was like, how come they have so many extra players and half these guys don't have numbers? And then I watched the game today, and I was like, oh, okay.
They did pretty well for bringing in a bunch of people that possibly didn't even know each other.
Well, but what the score in the Brazil game? Was it 2-0 or 3-0?
3-0 in the end.
That's a pretty it was a pretty comprehensive.
It's comprehensive, but with those guys out in Brazil, I thought you could be looking at 5-6, maybe more. Yeah,
but Michael, this isn't the Brazil of your first World Cup.
True.
Or older.
True.
I mean, when I looked at this, I had the game on, and we were sitting at this table here playing a family board game together. So I was watching and playing, and so because when you're watching at least 5 games a day, you need to mix it up with other things in life. But
yes, I was taking my dog out in between the rain going off.
Yes, but it was like the lineup is not that impressive. Brazil is still not it's still far away from its even like the 2002 kind of side, right? Like that had some things that were special about it. They don't have as many massive players like they used to. Where it used to be like almost every position they had massive players.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, they have good players, right?
Are they better than the 7-1 side?
Well, I mean, that's, I guess, debatable and on paper or whatever. The 7-1 side still had good players.
Yes.
But they also had good players who were not playing in that game. And they were
facing a Germany team, which themselves are a shadow of themselves this year to the team from that year.
Yeah, I would. I mean, it's debatable too, I guess. But I would say Germany's less of a shadow of who they were than Brazil is.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Because even Germany, to me, Germany, although yes, they're lacking in a number of positions in terms of quality and depth, I still think they have they have enough world-class players, or close to being world-class players, that can be the difference maker in a tournament like this, like the Euro. And so that's why even like when I picked them third to come out of their group, but then as I was doing the knockout rounds, I was kind of like, I think I had them going like really far in the knockout rounds.
Yes.
Even though again, there's a chance I might not make it out of the knockout rounds, in my opinion. But
I mean, that is a group you don't want to necessarily finish second in, because you could be facing England. So I mean, it's
whoa. I'd be okay facing England.
I don't know. Scotland's group, if Scotland finished second or third, it's a much more favourable draw than winning that group. So I think our plan will be to beat the Czechs and beat Croatia and then just lose to England.
Did you watch the England game today?
I did. I could have egg on my face because the time that this comes out, people will already know the Scotland score. So you're either listening to a very confident Michael just now that is even happier by the time you listen to this, or a very overconfident Michael that is drowning his sorrows in iron brew and chocolate digestives as you listen to this.
England did not play well.
No.
Like they credit to them, they got the result. And maybe they're going to do
Croatia looked terrible.
Yeah, Croatia.
I think that's what gives me a bit of hope for Scotland as well, because Croatia didn't look good and the Czechs aren't looking great in their last few games either. So
no, you guys' prediction of Scotland might be far better than mine.
My prediction of North Macedonia is not looking as good though. It was for a spell. I'll tell you how confident I was. When they equalised, I jumped on and stuck $10 on them at 5-1 to win that game, because I really thought they were going to go on and win that. And they had chances, but the second goal killed them, really. I've
never put money on anything, but this weekend so far, I've been doing the UEFA predictor thing, and so far I've got only one bang on, and that was Belgium.
Yes, 3-0. I got that bang on as well. I didn't remember that I'd predicted 3-0, and then when I went into it, I was like, oh, I got that right as well.
And I chose Belgium obviously to score first. I chose Lukaku as the opening scorer. And I put my double bonus on it for the week or whatever, for the match day. So I got
nice.
18 points or something.
I've put my double bonus on the Scotland-Czech game.
What's your scoreline for that again?
2-0.
Oh, okay.
And
That's not that crazy.
I had Memphis Depay getting the first goal today for Holland, so at least I get a point from that.
I can't remember what I did for Holland. I think I had them like 4-0 or 4-1 or something.
I think I had 2-1. So I was close-ish.
So far, that's the game of the tournament.
Oh, what?
By far.
I felt sorry for Ukraine. What a comeback. And then to throw it away after that.
It was very untidy of Holland, how it was like our conversation. 2-0 is the most yeah.
But they looked coasting.
What's the saying? It's
2-0 is the most dangerous lead in football.
Yeah, that's it.
But they looked coasting, and Ukraine weren't at the races, and then from nowhere, they're just back in the game.
In the space of 3 or 4 minutes, they score a wonder strike, and then they score a header off a free kick.
Yeah. I think Austria's goal today, that was possibly my favourite goal of the tournament so far. The first one that they got. It was like to the back post. It was a beautiful kind of volley, first time volley, yeah. Side foot, beautiful finish. But Macedonia's celebration has been the celebration so far, including mine as I jumped off the couch.
Yeah, it was a there was 3 shambolic plays on that. There was the initial giveaway from Switzerland or from Austria. Then there was the guy shooting it off his teammate's face.
Yes.
to bring the thing, and then the keeper
that was Whitecaps defending.
Oh, the keeper not holding it, and then Pandev just being like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
I have a
if you want to give the guy that's 38 next month a gift like this, I'll take it.
I have a picture somewhere. I gotta find it of Massimo with Goran Pandev.
Oh, really?
Many moons ago, Massimo went to a Canada game against Macedonia in Europe. I don't know if it was in Macedonia itself or somewhere else in Europe. And I think he was staying at the same hotel as them or something. And Pandev is a longtime, player in Serie A, which Mass is a big fan of. And So he has a picture or a selfie of him and Goran Pandev at the team hotel.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's great stuff. But yeah, we're not here to talk about the Euros though. If you want to hear more of our Euro talk though, check out our watch along that we did on Saturday for the Canada and Haiti game. At the end of that, we talk a little bit Euros, the games that took place yesterday, the Christian Eriksen incident, everything like that. We talk about Copa America as well. And of course, the bulk of that, which is in 2 parts on YouTube, just because there's some technical issues, is us watching along to the Canada game, lots of chat about Canadian soccer in general, the World Cup qualifying campaign. So we won't go into too much of that on tonight's show. Tonight's show is primarily going to be Whitecaps related, but do you want to add anything from thinking about the game overnight, Zach?
Just a couple of things. One, so excited about the Canada the positive parts of the Canada result. 2, I haven't seen anything substantive. Is there any update on Christian Eriksen?
Oh yes, there is.
Okay. I've heard stuff, but I didn't know if it was true. Or
he suffered cardiac arrest.
Okay,
and he had gone. His heart had stopped beating, but they brought it back on the first defibrillator thing, which the Danish doctor says is almost unheard of. It usually takes more than one, so they said that's a good sign. So he's stable in hospital, they're doing more tests, they haven't said any more, but the fact he came back so quickly, he says he doesn't remember much about anything. But the fact there was a cardiac arrest, I mean, this is the least important thing just now, but you have to feel that it's his career done.
That's partly what I saw. I saw a lot of headlines and a lot of people saying, oh, his career is over and stuff, and I was like, is this people speculating or what was this based on? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that really, though, that is the least important thing right now. You just want him and his wife and his family just to be safe and healthy and have lots of happy years together. And, I mean, it's looking promising. The other fallout from that today, though, is the Danish players and coach spoke and said, in hindsight, they shouldn't have played. They said they feel it wasn't fair that the question was put to them, and they had to make that decision in the moment. They wish UEFA had just made the decision. And I think that was right. I think it was the Danish coach that said they should just have got on the bus and left right away. And I think that would have been the right decision. Hindsight's obviously a great thing, but you knew. I mean, I think after the game, I read some of the quotes, and the Danish coach had said some of the guys didn't want to play, which was different from what we heard. We heard that they all wanted to, because they weren't ready for playing. But I think Denmark's going to have everyone rooting for them now for the rest of the competition to just get through. And it's been nice to see the outpouring from other teams and players and like supporters around the world as well. It's brought everyone together, which is really nice as well. But yeah, check out our YouTube stream. We'll be talking about all of that. We're going to be talking primarily Whitecaps in this.
One last thing, Copa. I just want to say, don't at least watch highlights of Ecuador, Colombia.
Oh, I'm going to fast forward through it. Yeah.
Okay, good. There's some stuff maybe there we could talk about some other time. Even just
interesting.
Whatever.
Okay. Oh, actually, I'll finish one thing by talking about the Canada-Haiti game. So after we did our stream yesterday, I jumped on the John Herdman call.
Yes.
Oh boy, he was on a bus to the airport. He said he was getting thrown around everywhere. I can't even play any audio really on this because the amount of dropped calls and dropped connections was incredible. And it's like it was just breaking up. You couldn't really hear what he was saying. But in short, he's basically said that it's been a wild ride down there, but he felt it was good for his players to see the other side of football, basically to see how other teams, the facilities they have, what they have to put up with, and make them appreciate more of what they have. He said they've got the job done. 1 foot in the octagon. That's really all you could have hoped for from it. They had to cut it short. I was really wanting to ask him if he was a bit disappointed just coming away with a 1 goal, because more than 1 goal would have maybe allowed a bit more rotation on Tuesday night. But there's very little wiggle room. Canada should still easily get past them. I'm pretty confident of that. But 1-0 gives Haiti hope, and that's all teams need sometimes.
I wouldn't expect him to say anything different. However, I would argue that they had a chance to put 2 feet in the octagon.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully there are some of those life lessons they learned from this trip as well. And the one thing about the players, you can't do anything about their tiredness, but you can't do anything about tiredness. But for most of them, if this is like the last game before a long break, or at least the last game before a break for the Gold Cup or something, so there is that to it, which I might also give. I mean, it might be the same for Haiti, I guess, as well, or I don't know what their schedules are over there, but it might give them a lift, So even if they don't rotate as much, it's like, yeah, this is the last one. Let's go out and do it.
I'm really curious to see what the Gold Cup roster is going to look like, because Herdman's hinted that because it's in a FIFA window, he's going to call guys up, but I don't know. We'll see, but we'll cover that in another show. That's it for the international chat, basically, in this episode. We're going to talk Whitecaps soon, but before we get to that, it's the gift that keeps on giving. It's Steve's Christmas presents to Zach and myself. He gave us each a box of 2011 Upper Deck MLS trading cards. We've been opening a pack on every weekend show. We're putting them together. We're selecting our teams, and we'll rattle through this because our intro is longer than usual because we had a few other things we wanted to talk about to get out of the way. So let's get our packs open here. Okay, I've got my pack here. I'll kick things off.
Cool.
I have no idea who this person is. It's a defender from the Boston Breakers, the women's side. Oh. Jordan Angeli. Oh,
I don't have that one yet.
I don't have any idea who she is. She came out of Santa Clara. Defender. Don't know her at all, I'm afraid.
The guy I have is a one-time FA Cup winner, 2-time US Open Cup winner, and 1-time MLS Cup winner.
Is it Clint Dempsey?
No.
I don't know if he won the FA Cup.
Yeah. But this is a guy who could find his way into my team, unless you have him. Or unless, I don't think you have him yet, but it's from your buddy Johnny's team. It's Roger Espinoza.
Oh, he might be in my team. I had him in my team at one point. Let me just check. I have my team saved here.
I'm looking at some of his. Okay. Oh yeah. He might have. Yes.
You do your next card while I check this.
This guy. Remember this guy? Huh. This is a midfield forward. So I'm guessing that means kind of winger. He scored 6 goals, 3 assists in 2010 for the New England Revolution. He played with Red Star Belgrade in the Serbian Superliga back in the day. But he only scored 10 goals in 90 appearances in 8 or 9 years for them. This is Marko Perovic.
Oh.
I don't remember him, do you?
No, not really. I don't have Espinoza in my team anymore. I replaced him with Rodney Wallace.
Oh, right.
So he's all yours if you want.
Because here's the thing. He might be the perfect person to put on as a left-footed kind of potential, more left central kind of midfielder in my team. So I'm going to have to look at that.
I've got another guy I'm not overly familiar with. San Jose Earthquakes, a midfielder, Ramiro Corrales.
Oh, I remember him. He's left-footed, I think.
I have no idea. He used to play in Norway, apparently. My next one is another defender from Houston Dynamo. Another guy I'm not overly familiar with, I've got to say. Eddie Robinson.
I remember him.
Eddie Robinson.
I remember him. Dude, this guy, that guy, Corrales, he was at, I think I saw him play at Buckshot. He was at it was San Jose 3 different times, including with the Clash in 1996.
Oh, wow. Oh, it doesn't mention that in the back here. It just has Earthquakes.
Yeah.
Obviously, just burying the
look
Clash
who's
stuff.
my next. I didn't look ahead, but look who my next card is. He's the guy you replaced. It's Rodney Wallace.
Oh, it's Rodney Wallace.
In his DC kit, but Portland card.
I've got another Earthquake. This name's familiar, but not too familiar with him. He's a forward. Had been with the Rapids as well. Cornell Glenn.
Let's see. Hang I vaguely remember him. Hey, Corrales has 2 MLS Cups, 1 Supporter Shield, and 1 Norwegian Championship from his time.
Yeah, he was with Bran and a team I'm not even going to try and pronounce.
It says
Hamar Kameraten.
Okay, this is a card you have, and that's all I'm going to say for now. This is one-time Montreal Impact, I believe MVP of the Voyageurs Cup, left-footed, left-sided midfielder, Justin Mapp.
Now, the next guy, if I didn't have a front line that had Wando, Donovan and Brian Ching in it, he would probably squeeze in.
Oh.
He's a forward from Real Salt Lake. It's Alvaro Saborio.
Nice. I got to check this real quick. There seems to be a theme to my cards today. I have all like left-footed players. Okay, my next one is we have a match. What's match game?
That's never happened.
Eddie Robinson.
So that's interesting. So that shows that all the packs are different then.
Yeah, they are different, but it's weird. The one weird thing, and it's a weird thing I like.
I think I know what you're going to say. No doubles?
No doubles.
Yeah. I'm thinking we're going to get through the whole box with no doubles. Now that's just what they've done.
That would be nice, but I think we still won't have a complete set, unfortunately.
No, because I've bought Panini boxes the last few World Cups in the hope that I'll maybe nearly complete the album, and there's so many doubles in there. So now my last card, I would love her in my team. I would love her in my life. It's, I think, my favourite female player. Not Christine Sinclair. It's Alex Morgan. The woman that when I was trying to interview her at the Women's World Cup, I couldn't ask her anything because I was just too, it's Alex Morgan.
You got to show that to Jeff Tinker. I think he has a Morgan kit. Or maybe not that.
Big fan of her as a player, and she just seems a really sweet person.
Okay, this is my last one.
Cornell Glenn. That's weird.
That is very weird.
Wow. Well, that is our packs for this week. I'm not making any changes to my team from that.
I may be making changes, but I will notify you. Excellent.
I don't know if I confirmed when we last did our streaming this what my current team is. So just to remind you, goalkeeper Nick Romando, backline of Zarek Valentin, Omer Gonzalez, Marvel Wynn, and Leo Gonzalez. I've gone 4-3-3. Jeff Larentovich, Rodney Wallace, Dwayne Di Rosario in the middle, Brian Ching, Chris Wondolowski, Landon Donovan up front. I will probably ditch Ching when I get a midfielder that I kind of really want, and I'll probably ditch Valentin as well, and I'm still looking to possibly improve my whole defence, but I guess we'll see what happens there.
I'm playing with what's I'm right now calling a 4-3-1-2. And my keeper currently is Stefan Fry. I put him in ahead of Bill Hamid. Left back, Jordan Harvey. Center backs, Jay Demerit and Nat Borchers. Right back, Jimmy Conrad. My 3 in the middle are left to right, Kyle Beckerman, Osvaldo Alonso, and David Beckham. My 1 attacking central midfielder is Javier Morales. And up top, I have Juan Pablo Angel and Thierry Henry. But there is potential that one of those cards might come into play, although I don't know if they're good enough to put up any of my 4 midfielders, but there's 2 cards in there that I'm interested in.
If I had got Thierry Henry before you, he would have been in my team.
Oh, I know. That's why I put him in my team.
Interesting to see him on the sidelines with Belgium again.
Is he back? I didn't see him.
Yeah, he was talking to some of the players during the game, and I was like, when did that happen?
Is he assistant coach again?
He just appeared, and I was like, did I miss that big announcement?
By the way, Eddie Robinson, because of his time with Houston and the Earthquakes, 4 MLS Cups, 1 Supporter Shield.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Anyway, since we've got chatting about MLS finally, let's get to the meat and the bones of this episode. You've had the appetizer, now it's the time for the main course. The Whitecaps have been off, as you know, for 27 days, and we spoke to Mark DeSantis a couple of shows ago, so we thought we're speaking to Mark. Let's have a little chat now with Sporting Director and Chief Executive Officer Axel Schuster. So I did that on Friday morning, and there's some interesting stuff in this, which we will unpack after you hear it in full. And yeah, I think there's some things in this, Zach, that might not leave people overly happy. Let's just tease that off the bat.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. So go make your favourite hot beverage, grab your biscuit of choice. Doesn't have to be a digestive, but it would be good if it was. Sit back and enjoy our chat with the Whitecaps CEO and Sporting Director, Axel Schuster. So thank you for joining us today, Axel. I always like to kind of have these chats at the end of kind of different segments of the season. We spoke to Mark a week or so ago. So I guess the first thing to really ask you is, how do you look back at these first 7 games so far? Are the clubs sitting where you expected them to be, or do you think they've maybe underperformed from where you were expecting them or hoping that they would be?
Yeah, I think we are where I expected us to be after that difficult time in the preseason and with all the challenges we had again. But I still think we underperformed result-wise. We should have got more points. We should have scored more goals with the chances we had and the games that we played. I think we had games that were good enough to get a point or even 3 points. If I go back and think about all the games and how we conceded goals and how we didn't score goals out of chances, especially the Minnesota game. If I look at that, what kind of chances we had throughout the whole game, how we could press them, how we could make their life very difficult, and how we have not scored with excellent chances. I think if we would only use one of those and score, we will not lose the game. That's for sure. We had an empty goal in the game against Colorado in the moment where the game was still 0-0, and also in our last game in Houston, we had chances and possibilities to get a better result. So I think result-wise not the performance, but said that the performance was good enough to get more points, and with the distracted preseason, the challenges we had that a lot of the players, more or less all of our new players, couldn't join us in preseason until the last 10 days of preseason. That one of our DPs that was a key player, that was also a link-up player, a player with a lot of assists, is still not able to play with us because he is not permitted to come to the US. With some injury stories that we also had, that again our number one center back was injured for a while and couldn't play a lot of games, and with players coming in late like Kayo and Daiba and having or needed a little bit of a time to adapt and to the league. I think our performance okay, results not.
I mean, it's easy when we're looking back at any part of the season or the end of the season or whatever. It's always like easy to focus on the negatives, and I'll be coming to some of those in a sec. But let's start with the positives. I mean, what have you seen from these first 7 games that's pleased you? What do you think the good things are there for building on now for the rest of the campaign?
I think, first of all, beside of the game against Kansas, we are a team that defends well, a team that it's hard to break down, it's hard to score against us. We conceded a lot of special goals, but we didn't give away a lot of chances. I think 2 goals we conceded against Toronto have been very special. The goal we conceded against Colorado was a free kick from outside of the box. We conceded a goal against Houston where the whole team was hoping that the ball got played out for an injured player. So we conceded very special goals, but overall we have not given away a lot of chances to our opponents. I think that was an issue last year where our opponents had a lot of shots. So we that's the basis of our game. So that helps us. Said that we added a few players, especially if you look at Daiba and Kayo, that can make the difference, that have qualities and skills to help us to attack the opponent's goal, to make difference, to win 1-1 situations, to find a pass, to find a window where to pass the ball. And said that, we already stopped with the positives, because then we come to our negatives, that there is then the missing piece there. So the final link up, the final product, the final pass, the pass into the final third, the pass into the opponent's box, and then the final shot. We have a lot of space there to grow, but not only because we still want to add a player, or we now one more player that helps us in that area, also to use the chances we had, because again, in the Minnesota game, I think we had excellent chances, better chances than Minnesota had throughout the whole game, and we were not able to convert them into a goal. So also there, we need now to get more confidence and more quality. It's one of the reasons why we added another striker that is a puncher, that has proven that, because we think that even without the link up player, without this number 8, 10 offensive midfielder, whatever, attacking midfielder, however we want to frame it, we would be able, or would have been able to score more goals. But yeah, we have not done that. And so it's time to still adjust things, to improve things. We want to be an organization that develops things and develops players. We have a lot of young players on the pitch, so we don't feel bad about it at all, but we also know where we have to improve and to become better.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious where the missing piece is, where the whole of the team is, and it is that link-up play. When I spoke to Mark, it's been a frustration that there's been chances created and they haven't been put away, but you do need that person that's going to be creative. Now, when you sat down with JJ and Har just over a week ago, you talked about the struggle of adding that number 10 piece, that there was a couple of guys you're interested in. You've made an offer to one of them, and you're just hoping that his club then can replace him. I know you can't talk about specific names, but there's a lot of names going out there. One of them is Alan Patrick from Shakhtar Donetsk. They appear to have added a new player and a new piece. May or may not be connected, I know, but I mean, has there been any movement in who this number one target is that you feel closer to being able to announce him?
Yeah, so it moves every day. I think you can imagine that as we are speaking about that, since Imbon left the club, there's nothing more important to do in the scouting and recruitment department. And they are not doing anything else than to stay focused on that position and to look at players. But what I really want to say, that's very important for me, is it's not about only adding somebody that helps us now maybe to get 3 points more out of the first 7 games, that helps us to win against Minnesota. Right now we want to make a commitment. We want to add a player that helps us not only this season, that helps us also to be a better team next year, to make the next step. And I think everyone in our organization and every of our supporters and everyone who is following us, also you, are desperate to win that one day something, to win some silverware. And this player, it cannot be that in that way that we sign now one player that helps us this year to go to playoffs. Next year we say we have now to add another one to win something. So to make next steps, this player should be the difference maker. That player should be the guy that it was in the next 2-3 years helps us to be that winning team. And for that reason, I don't feel bad about taking the time and waiting and getting exactly the right one. The only thing that we maybe change a little bit, although we have not lost the belief that we will find the guy for the secondary window. we have now started in the same time to approach 1-2 options that can be a security net for the rest of the season. If we get to the point and get the feeling that we will not be able to sign the guy this secondary window, because then if we cannot sign in the secondary window, then we will not sign somebody this season. So then it makes sense to think about the security net alone option for the rest of the season, and to approach the things after the season again, or not to continue to have the player here for the 2022 season. So that's a little bit of a different approach, but still working on the right player. And I said also, and get something over at the first window, but it would cost us unreasonable money for maybe for only 4 games. Yes, it was not only about the cost, it was about the very special situation that is very unique and also COVID related, that between the first and the second window we only have 4 games. And with an immigration process and all the things that have to be done for visa and work permit, it would be even less than 4 games, because any player that we would sign at the end of the first window would not be able to play the first 2-3 games in this period before the secondary window opened. So for that reason, we were not up to overpay something only to get it over the line at the last few days in the first window, as an option came up at that point. And we said, we continue and we take the time to renegotiate it and to continue to negotiate and to wait to get a better deal done for the secondary window. And there was no guarantee that we would get it done in the last days of the first window. It was only that somebody told us, or not, the intermediary told us, if you pay that amount now, the club probably will accept that. But there was still a lot of question mark, and we said, no, we don't feel pressured so much to get it done now, because it has to be done now because of the small amount of games. And we added Brian White already. We knew that we have done that, and we still think that with the existing group, if everyone is there and with the addition of Brian White, we are able to get a good amount of points in the next upcoming games. And then this player is an add-on for the still not second part of the season, because even if the second window opens, we are only at 11 games, so still far away from from half of the season. So it's a lot of games to go, and so we felt comfortable, or we took that decision not to rush things and overpay things at that point.
Now, there's going to be some people listening to that, and they're going to say it always says it's maybe not in this window. I might have to wait to the next window. And you've mentioned there you might not be able to get your main target in this upcoming window. It might have to wait to the next window. Now, if he does come in this window, I would assume once he's signed, he's going to have to go through quarantine, get up to fitness with the squad and chemistry. So you might not be even looking at adding him until towards the end of July. Do you feel that, I mean, you touched on it there about the squad that's put together getting points now. If you weren't able to add your main target in this upcoming window and you've got to go with the safety net, do you feel that you've given Marc Dos Santos enough tools to be a playoff contending team this season?
Yes, absolutely. So I think we are very close to the line, and we have missed to get more points. We could get better results with a very special situation after a very special preseason, with our second DP not even being here, with injury stories and players adding to the group very late because of COVID restrictions and immigration issues. So I think we only can grow and become better. And if the basis is that basis that we showed in the first 7 games, and we will become better, we have enough quality and tools to go to the playoffs. We have already added Brian White. He was a big difference maker in the last season for the Red Bulls. If he would not score 4 goals and 1 assist in the last 5 games, the Red Bulls will not make it to the playoffs. So he is a player that is proven that he can do that. I've said we will add a player in the secondary window. There is no doubt. It's not that complicated with quarantine and adding players anymore because of the vaccination rules that changed in the league. So we have new protocols. So this will not be the problem. Still, we have to do immigration and visa process. But again, I think we can all of that we can get done in the right time. And as I also said, it's still 11 games on the 7th of July. So our most important thing with our difficult preseason was, and we spoke about that openly, to keep it close, to stay close to the line until we have all tools together, to stay in a good position in the league, and we are there because it's only one game, and even some teams have already played 8 games. If we win that additional game, we would be in. So with all the challenges we had, so I expect that we grow as a team, that we develop things, that we become better throughout the whole year, and then it's up to our scouting recruitment team and also to me to add additional players that can help us to jump in this process. We are working on that, and we always gave us the time until the secondary window because of this special situation, because of all the challenges we had, and we will do something in the secondary window. And what I said to you before, and that's the big difference maybe now, that we want to have a security net in case of that we don't find that super fit that helps us to become a winning organization, somebody who competes for silverware. So for that reason we build now a security net, because we don't want Marc dos Santos and his team going into the two other thirds of that season in the 2023 additional games without any addition.
Talking of immigration then, it's like, I'm sure you're sick of talking about the Ali Adnan situation. Has it not got to the stage now where it's better for maybe the player and the club just to part ways and you actually look at getting a replacement in?
Yeah, so I think that he probably got more desperate for that than we. I think it would be way bad style from us with all the problems he had, and it's really hard for him as a player to say, come on, it doesn't work, and we would love to find a solution. Have you ever thought about leaving the club? I think we should not use that really difficult situation for him, where he has not done it. It has nothing to do with that. Yeah. By the way, we also nothing, but in reality, to use it as an argument to say, do you think it would not be better to go part? So I think he gets more desperate for that, because not playing in any competition game since November last year, in a good age, in a situation where he also competes for a new contract and all of that, it's not a good solution for him. So I have full understanding for that. But the only thing we do right now is to continue to work on the process to get the permission for him to come here and to play with us, because he would be another good tool for us to have. So we see still the upside of having him and having his qualities on the pitch bigger than now to open up a spot and to use that spot for an additional player. So our position is clear. We would want to support our player as good as we can to go through this difficult time, to get through it, and to get here at some point. But we fully respect if at one point he and his agent come to me and say, yeah, but guys, what kind of guarantee you can give us that he that he will come to the US at some point, that he will be able to play with you. And if you cannot give us any guarantees, we have to find a solution. So then I will be open to speak with him about that. But it's not our starting point right now.
The whole thing is like baffling to me, because you see players from all around the world getting work permits, and obviously I know Ali's from a country that there's additional issues, but has the league not been able to get involved for you? And with his current situation, if the Whitecaps were back in Vancouver, would he be able to play games in Vancouver but just not travel to the US?
Yes, exactly. And that makes it even worse. It makes it even worse for us as an organization. And if I speak about our challenges in the first 7 game days and what kind of challenges and problems we had, I think it is only fair to bring all of that up if we make an assumption, or we try to make a fast seat for the first 7 games. So if we would play our games in Vancouver, Ali would be able to play in every home game.
Right.
So it's not only not having him, it's also the additional fact, because we have to relocate, he cannot play the home games as well. About the process, I can and don't want to speak too much about it. I only can say he has still the same passport. It's still the same player. He is still on the same contract. There's not a new passport, not a contract extension. It was only the fact that his first visa for his first contract was not going through the whole contract term, so it had to be renewed. We sent in all the same document and papers. We sent in the first time as he got approved. We got additional questions, and we got the answer that we cannot do anything right now. The league worked together with us. All contacts the league had were involved and are involved, and it's a waiting game now, because it's waiting for getting the information, the one email, he is approved and he can get the visa.
Crazy stuff. I mean, we've missed him on the left side of the park, and he's a guy that's led the team in assists for the last 2 seasons. Whether he's back in the team or not, and if he does come back, it's like having a new player. But aside from this number 10 or attacking 8, how many other additions do you feel this squad might need in this next window coming up? For me, the left side's an issue. I'd like a bit of an experienced head, maybe in the centre-back position as well. I know Godoy is an experienced guy, and Andy Rose as well, but it feels it's missing, like, to go way back, like a Jay Demerit style that the Whitecaps used to have, or just a really experienced head back there.
Yeah, I think going forward we want to develop something that we want to develop a team that really is a winner and competes for silverware. You can question every single position, because you always can improve quality on every single position. I think we go with the biggest needs now, and I think Diver, because of a lot of issues and a lot of different small stories of this preseason, the first 7 games, we were not able to play our best lineup. We are not able to play our best setup. So it's not only Ali that obviously would be a great addition and give us a lot of additional quality on the left wing. It was also Baldi, who was on a good way, and he played in the first games where we got good results. We all know that we beat Portland. We got a point away in Orlando against TFC. So he got injured also, and we had to readjust our midfield then. Because of this situation, we also tried to play Dajo as a striker. He did overall well, but we lose him on the right wing, obviously. So we changed there, and Diver played on the right wing. So Diver is was signed as a left winger, by the way, because he is attacking the goal much more if he comes from the left wing. And he had his biggest chances coming from that position, and he scored his goal coming from that position. So Caio needed 1, 2, 3 games to adapt to the league. I think if you see him playing now in the last games, it's a different player than he was in the first game.
Oh, yeah.
And not having Eric Godoy is always not good, because he is our number one defender. Yes, said that, of course, you can say you can increase quality with the center backs, especially if Eric is not there. You can increase quality in the fullback position. You can increase quality, but by the way, fullback in the way good game against Minnesota, Bruno Gaspar, after his time of adaptation and quarantine, he was able to play the first time. He played a very good game there and got injured in that game as well. So was out again, not fully recovered, still not in training, by the way. Still had tried to play again with this injury. And was out again. I had to go out again now in Houston, so it's still not fully recovered. So many small stories that relate to the whole story. Why we have not played on our best setup. Having Ali here now with having a clear second striker with Brian White that is ready, that has that competitive level and readiness right now to help and support Kava. Yes, it's not only about that one link-up player. And yes, in going forward, I can promise you the number 10, whatever, attacking midfielder will not be the only addition. But we all know that, or I can tell you that the scouting recruitment team is doing nothing else than that right now to find that player, because we think on all the other positions it's not the biggest need yet. It would be great to have everyone ready, fully fit, to have Baldi. I think we also saw some, and we also still want to be an organization that gives chances to young players. So I think if what I maybe missed to tell you on the question about the positives is that I think Guti getting so much minutes, Gutierrez, to see Habibullah and Ryan Raposo having impact to our team are definitely positives of this season as well. And yes, if you play with a lot of young players, Diver and Caio are youth player, initiative players, very young players, plus the other, plus Guti, plus Ryan and Cam that are getting 2 minutes. It's for me, it's a normal process that not all the things work at the beginning, beside of all the other problems with young players, because they need their time to find each other, to adapt to the league. So for me, it's not a question that we will going forward will improve, we will develop, we will become better.
Talking of getting better, there's a residency graduate. I know him very well. Glory Amanda won the Mac Herman Trophy. I've watched Glory come through in the under-16s and the under-18s, saw him play with WFC 2. I've followed his career at Oregon, and he's just come off a fantastic season. He's just given an interview with the Edmonton magazine Edify, where he says he wants to turn pro. He'd love that to be with the Whitecaps, but there hasn't been an offer made to him yet. How he would maybe fit in right now with you just adding Brian White, but he does seem too good a prospect to maybe let get away. How are things going with that just now?
I haven't seen his interview, and I don't know exactly what he said. For me, it's important. Or the only thing I can say that we are in contact with himself, and his agent. And we are now speaking about another challenge because of all this. We were working since I'm in the club, and since beginning of 2020, we are working on a second team solution. Because I think it's such an important piece for us, for all of those young guys. If we look at our team, what kind of good team we would have, what good second team we would have. So with also the problems that we are playing somewhere else, and we cannot have a second team around us. We have to also deal with different challenges here with contracts, because we only have that 10 supplemental roster contracts. And I only want to say, I saw a few weeks ago, even on the MLS webpage, they were writing six or seven, at least six players of LAFC goes for this weekend on loan to their second team. If you can do such things, you can free up roster spots much more easy than we cannot do that. If we want to sign one talent, if we want to sign a player like Cam Habibullah, what we just did, it's a full roster spot and it's occupied. Even if we think at some point he maybe should play for 3 months in the second team. If we want to sign and we want to secure a talent, it's always a first team roster spot that we have to use right now to protect our rights of a player. So we are in exchange with him and his agent to see what is possible with us, with our situation, also with maybe a new situation coming up next season with more options. And I can say that the conversations right now went very well. And there is what he copies and what he said in the interview is right. He would love to become professional. I think everyone who is playing on that level wants to become a professional. He has a great relationship to our organization. We like him a lot, and we would love to find a solution. We only have to get it done in the actual roster compliance rules, and we are working on that.
I was going to ask you about the MLS Reserve League initiative, but I'll save that to the next time, because I know we don't have a lot of time left. So I want to ask, it's obviously been difficult juggling both roles. It would be difficult juggling both roles at the best of times, but during a pandemic, being sporting director, being chief executive officer, it's difficult times. You're not in your home market, for one thing. How do you feel you've handled those roles? I mean, there's always been a lot of talk. Folk are like, oh, is Mark in the hot seat? Does he feel under pressure? Do you feel under pressure? Do you feel in the hot seat? Do you feel that you've delivered what the fans are hoping for so far?
No, definitely not, because we couldn't. I'm in this club since November 2019, and we have played exactly one game in front of our fans. I had great talks with supporter groups. I was on Zoom calls. The only good thing about all of that is we are not in our home market, but we are anyway doing all of that right now on a platform like we are just doing it, and on Zoom calls, on video chats, because even in Vancouver, if I would be in Vancouver, we are not back in the office. The office is still closed because of the restrictions. So it makes not that big difference if I'm sitting here in a room in Salt Lake, or if I would sit in Vancouver in my condo.
That's true.
Or at UBC. So I had a lot of talks with them. We continue to work on being a better organization also off the pitch. I think we have done a lot of things already. The point is that it's hard to prove the improvement, because you don't have that direct connection with your supporters right now. They cannot see the experience in the stadium. They cannot see how we want to improve our service excellence, how we want to do all the things, because you're not that connected, because not everyone is reaching out to you. A few guys are reaching out to you. Some fans have requests, or we have offers, but it's not the same if you go to the stadium and you're all together and you really feel the club. They don't feel us right now. They see us on a screen, or they are on a telephone call. I think we have done a lot of things in this time. We have added a director for diversity, inclusion, and community. and we want to play an important role there for having a voice for minorities, having a voice for disadvantaged people, but also working on programs that we want to do in our community to interact and connect with people that are maybe not even supporters of our club right now, but but with people that should get our support regardless if they are a supporter of our club, yes or no, and maybe become a supporter of our club because we are supporting other organizations or initiatives in our community where we think it's worth to support them in difficult times. We have added a new CRO that is working on a setup for 2022 to have a very successful year off the pitch. We are continuing and are working with a headhunter right now to add a new CMO. We are working and we have not added the person right now. We are now in the process of adding that. We have created a new job for director of fans and members and service excellence. We have created virtual. We have already created a membership format. We want to be a club that has a membership platform. You become a member of our club. And I spoke with a lot of supporter groups and have been on Zoom calls with them to tell them we want to have interaction in both directions. We want you to participate in future in a discussion about things that you think are important, and also to take part in decisions about stadium experience, about merchandising, about the jersey, about how we can become a better organization. But we are not there. We have played one game at home with our fans, and that was an amazing event for me. We had a big tifo. There was a lot of excitement. I really felt so good at that day. And then that was the only one. If you would tell me that day, I would maybe use more time to feel it and to live it. But it was also my very first game. So said that, I think we have done a lot of good things. We have prepared a lot of good things coming out of that pandemic to be a better organization, to hear and to listen to our fans. And there is one headline that going through our whole organization. We want to treat our supporters like members, like owners. I'm coming from a German background where that is the reality, where your members are owners. We want to treat our supporters like that. But I think really we can only prove it really if we are back in Vancouver and play in front of our fans. And final sentence, because of your question, I always feel myself on the hot seat. I make myself the biggest pressure. I'm very unsatisfied with our situation right now for a lot of reasons, because I think we can do better, we should do better, and I am the first that really pushes and kicks everyone to do better, and so I do it with myself. But I think we are in a very difficult time, and I want to be ready to prove all of that and to show all of that as soon as we come back and play in front of fans.
I've got two last things to ask you. One of them is about fans being back. Obviously, we all are just dying to get back to BC Place, dying to get in to see games, get into training and stuff like that from our point of view. And it's coming. It seems closer and closer. I know it's probably not fast enough for you guys. You are going to be opening up 3 games down in Utah. And when I first saw that, I thought, oh, that's good, because there'd been a lot of Salt Lake fans that had said we want to come and support the team and try and give them a home away from home. But then I was kind of baffled as to why one of those games was against Salt Lake, because you're basically letting in however many thousand of the away team, which is surely then going to give a negative atmosphere for your own team. And then I was talking to Mark about it yesterday, and he raised a point I hadn't even thought of. There's a good chance a lot of Mexican fans are going to be buying tickets to cheer on Chicharito. So again, it's not creating a a good atmosphere for the Whitecaps. So what was behind that decision?
It's really easy. Since we live it that every US team has fans in attendance, and we play in stadiums where there is an atmosphere, and obviously an atmosphere that is not supporting us, a crowd that is not supporting us. It became very clear for us it is still better to play in a stadium with an atmosphere that is against you than to play in a stadium without any atmosphere. I asked the whole group, and I can tell you it was 10 out of 10 that said, please open, and it is an away game before it is an empty stadium. Soccer is about emotions, soccer is about atmosphere, and it's better to have an atmosphere than to play in a stadium where it's zero.
Yeah, atmosphere. And the players do thrive in that, I guess, more than the management team. It doesn't really affect them, I guess, as much as the players on the pitch, because players also like to silence crowds, and that's a chance for them to do that. So the last thing, coming back to Vancouver, hopefully August, maybe September. I mean, whenever it does open up, there's going to be a demand initially to go and see the team, because folk are just wanting to get there. I don't think ticket sales are going to be an issue, because it's probably going to be a limited attendance anyway. Moving forward though, like even next year, it feels like the Whitecaps are becoming a harder sell in the city. You've come to a team, and you can't do anything about this. It's got a legacy, it's got a history of maybe underperforming, not spending. The owners are called cheap. You can go out and spend the most in CONCACAF and transfer fees, but then the salary schedule comes out, folks see the Whitecaps at the bottom, and they're like, oh, see, they're still cheap. It's trying to shake that reputation, shake that image, getting the media interested in the team. I've been on calls recently where there's just like 3 of us on the call. How do you go about making the Whitecaps relevant in Vancouver, having been away for so long?
Yeah, so first of all, in doing what we are convinced of to do to become successful, I think I said it in my very first press conference in November 2019. I said, I'm not Harry Potter. I don't expect magic things from me. I believe in the process step by step. I want to prove that we become better every single year, step by step. I think we have done steps last year with a weight. Nobody knew about the virus as I was saying that. So of course we got much more challenges. We had to live in a hotel far away from home, and play all our game out of Portland. I think we've missed the playoffs by 3 points. 3 points we think we could get. I think our performance was good enough to get these 3 points more and to go to the playoffs the first time since a while. And we believe in this year to make the next step. And it's very important for me, and I think that's my most important role right now, to stay calm and to prove confidence in our process, and not question everything after 7 games. 7 games, we still got 7 points, and we are 3 points away again, or 2 points, I think, even only from the playoff line, after a very complicated preseason again. Somebody brought it up. The Canadian clubs have played 22 games in this season, and we had in these 22 games exactly 6 wins. It's not only us being in that situation.
Yeah.
And so we have 2 wins, so we are obviously exactly an average for that. So we and it's something we don't bring up, never ever, for any single game. But for the 22 games of 3 Canadian clubs, you can speak about that disadvantage. I think with that disadvantage and all the challenges, and not having the number 10 that everybody is expecting us to sign as soon as possible, to be 2 points behind the line after 7 games of 34, I think my most important job is to stay calm, to do everything that we can do that the team is best prepared, that Mark has everything he needs to prepare the team best, that team that is here right now, the tools he has here right now, and then to do the things that we think is right, and not to sign a wrong player, because it's so easy to make a big mistake in signing. And I don't want to point it at anyone in this league or at other clubs, but there are clubs that sign a player and after 6 months they try everything to get rid of the player. Every player we signed, we have not tried to get rid of any of those players that we signed yet. We think that all of them are still good additions to our club. Not saying that we don't think that we can improve quality in the midterm, and we have to. But the next edition should be better than the editions we have done before. He should be a difference maker, and if we get him right, I think then it's then really serious things have to happen, that we're not going to the playoffs, and that's the next thing we want to do. And then for the next season, yes, I'm absolutely with you. New additions, new quality, and then new changes. But then it's a term after 2 years, 2 very complicated years then at the end of the year, 2 very COVID impacted years. But then after a term of 2 years, we have to question up if the players we signed 2 years ago are still on that level to make the next step. But that's so normal in our business, and it's something that happens with every club. And so I still feel comfortable with the steps we have done yet. And of course, I am the first one who will push for the next step because it's necessary.
Thank you as always for your time. Really appreciate it. I know your family's just come over, so you're really wanting to spend time with them. Just before you go, who have you got to win the Euros? And it better be Scotland.
It's a little bit weird. It's the first one where so far away I don't even feel the Euro, to be honest. I feel more right now the CONCACAF qualification process, and then the Gold Cup coming up. More involved in that with players of our team being there, and even thinking about how to manage the time of the Gold Cup, by the way, where we maybe lose players in mid-season. So I think from a German perspective, we are back at a point where nobody expects anything from the team. The last time we have been in such a situation was at the World Cup 2002. I was there in Tokyo and in Japan and South Korea, and I know that we were going to the first game, and everyone was expecting the team goes out in the group stage. We end up in the final, so maybe it helps Germany, but overall, I think this group is a group I will recommend everyone to follow. Germany, Portugal, and France are the three last title holders in the world, in Europe and the world, because it's the last world champion France, the last European champion Portugal, and the world champion before Germany in one group, and then Hungary. So I think that's the group where you should follow in the group stage, and then whoever comes out of that group is in a very good position. If you manage that group, you're in a very good position to go to compete for the title.
That's great. You didn't say Scotland, but I know in your heart you think it's going to be Scotland as the surprise winners. Thanks so much, Axel. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Of course. I in every other group, I'm always for Scotland. As long as they are not playing Germany, I'm totally supportive for Scotland. By the way, I really like the mentality of the Scottish team. So I think it's hard working and fighting and defending your goal and having a great team approach is something that I, in general, always like. So I wish your team all the best. Then let's see if we play each other, we can have a follow-up on that, and then let's see what happens.
I'll hold you to that. Thanks so much, Axel, for your time. Axel S there, Whitecaps CEO and sporting director. A lot of interesting things coming out of that, and we are going to unpack those after this.
Hi, I'm Mark Dos Santos, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Out the basement. Who's that? The ties on the deck by the face. Taking on by despicable rhymes off the basement. Out face. Taking on my despicable ones off the basement. Out of the basement. One mic, one band, this is how we began. No money, no gear, but it's never been a problem. From the day one, we run with the same plan. Spread the world around with a mic and a spray can. Everywhere we get, from the coast to commuter cars. Stories of the past, full blast, they leave scars. Times are hard, we end up, and we never pretend. But kind of crew of true friends, by our side to the end. Living on the road, this fan is a pirate boat. Smash my ski to beat, reload, till your head explode. Music for the games, misfits, surviving by the code of unity, respect, raising up against the whole world. Guys about the critics, deceivers, and non-believers. All these keep speeding lyrics, all the elites deliver. I can't play it, hard to spend it, love, coming from the common part of a story, it's cause only begun. Out of the basement. Who's that? Crocodiles on the deck by the face. Taking on my despicable ones off the basement. Out of the basement. Let's go.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's our Artist of the Month for June here at AFTN. Straight out of Moscow, Moscow Death Brigade. And that's a song we've played before in the show. A little snippet we had. It was the very first song I heard by the band. Immediately fell in love with them, checked out all their stuff, ordered all their CDs, got a t-shirt as well. I mentioned on Instagram that they were our Artist of the Month and they gave us 3 fist emojis in reply and liked it. That was Out to the Basement from their third album that came out in 2020, Bad Accent Anthems. Check out all their stuff. You can find them on YouTube, Moscow Death Brigade. And if you like it, order the CDs. Don't bother with all this Spotify and Apple and all that nonsense. Get some good quality CDs like I've got behind me here, which you can't see, but Zach can. Kind of, in my crappy camera that I've got on at the moment because my other one's playing up. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get to the bulk of this part. We're going to unpack a few things that Axel Schuster said there in his chat. Now, straight off the bat, I just want to say, I had half an hour with Axel. As you'll find out from listening to that, it was 50 minutes we ended up going with. I went over a tad. I didn't even get to ask everything that I wanted to ask, and in the end, I had to kind of combine some of the questions, which is possibly not how we didn't get full answers for some of them, and it ended up being a little bit rushed and I couldn't necessarily follow up on stuff because I was trying to get as much covered as possible. But we'll chat with him again for some of the other things. But before we get into it, just what was your overall thoughts of that chat, Zach?
Oh man, yeah. We'll get into it more in more detail, but I mean overall, I'd say it's disappointing and concerning.
Yeah, I think
is that unfair?
No, I mean Axel was very honest and open and
upbeat
about everything, but some of what he said is probably really not what the fans are wanting to hear right now. And I mean the big thing, let's get it right off the bat, the number 10. They've spoken for ages that that's the need. Everyone knows that's the need. Mark's frustrated at not having it. A week or so ago, Axel sat down with JJ and Har and spoke about it and said, yeah, there's a number of new targets because the other ones didn't work out for various reasons.
What number are we on?
I think it's 6 or 7 now. I'm not sure if any of these ones play in the number 10 shirt, but I guess we'll find out if we ever get somebody. But I mean, he kind of indicated to them in their chat, and we talked about it, I think, on last week's show maybe, that they've made an offer to the main guy that they want, and because of that, they can't really go and make offers to anyone else, because you can't then make offers to 2 people and then they both take it, and then you're in a bit of a pickle. We're not Inter Miami, let's be honest. So, I mean, obviously you've got to go one at a time. So that I totally get. And the club that they've made the offer to had accepted the deal. The player's good for coming. They just have to get a replacement for this guy leaving. So there'd been lots of rumours. Alan Patrick from Shakhtar Donetsk. And Axel was never going to confirm that. So that's why I didn't push him too much. I just kind of threw that name in, mainly to see if I got any reaction visually when I said it. Which he didn't. He was good. He didn't crack. But Shakhtar's added somebody now, so Patrick could move on if it is indeed him. I'm now not so sure that it is him, because as Axel said there, their main number 10, the guy that they want to be with the club for a couple of seasons, might not come in this window. They might not be able to get it done in this window. It might have to wait till January. And there might be what he called a security net. I would call it like a fallback plan of adding an on-loan number 10 stroke attacking 8 for the rest of the season so that he could give Mark some help in that area. That is really not what folk would have wanted to hear.
No. I mean,
I didn't pick him up wrong. That is what he said, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like, this is where you play the meme from Will Silver, right? Next window. You know, you had the drive-through McDonald's, next window.
I got that little shot in that fans will say, why is it always the next window? Because that's how it's feeling. It does feel like that just now. Why is it always the next window? And I know you could say in the past, COVID, being out of the home market, I get that. And Axel did say when he spoke to Har and JJ, I didn't want to go over the same stuff he'd said to them, so that's why I kind of came at some different things. But he basically had said to them, players have said no. Until you know when you're going back to Vancouver, I'm open to coming. If I'm still available, get back in touch. But I can't commit to that just now because of like family situations and everything like that. That I get. That must be a complete nightmare. There's a lot of footballers in the world. Somebody must surely want to come.
It's incredibly frustrating. Like it just, I don't understand how people, there's not like an uprising, you know, I mean, like maybe not like Rapid Vienna, you know, putting bricks in front of the FO's, you know, building to block them from going in.
Yeah, okay. I thought you meant through the windows. Okay.
No.
Like, yeah, boarding it up so they can't get in. Yeah.
I think it was their own. I think it was their own front office once they.
Are you sure it was they couldn't get in or they couldn't get out?
No, I'm pretty sure it was they showed. Yeah, it was overnight they put it up. Anyways, but yeah, like I don't understand how some people seem to be so patient or lacking in caring or lacking in ambition, or like I don't understand it. Now I think there's reasons for this, obviously. Like you said, the pandemic is a big reason. Another reason, which I don't think you just mentioned now, but we've talked about a little bit in the past, or at least once in the past, is there a chance that this is, you know, Mark Dos Santos is not going to have his contract renewed, and they want to make sure that their next coach is on board with this. Maybe they don't have to wait. Maybe they don't have to wait until that happens. But maybe there's some, you know, stuff going on.
I'll be honest, that crossed my mind.
Because,
like, chatting to him, it's like, because he did say, because I didn't ask him about Mark again, because obviously JJ and Har had, and he said several times now that nothing's happening this season, and you can't get somebody to commit beyond that, because you don't know what's going to happen this season. Mark could have a great remainder of the season, and we get the playoffs, and everything's great, and things continue. Hard to see that without having some extra personnel in there to help him do that, which was one of the other questions I asked Axel. Does he feel he's given MDS enough quality just now, enough pieces to make the playoffs? And he's like, oh, absolutely.
Which, again, you would expect him to say. Like, he's going to say,
it's not correct.
I know. Would you expect him to say, no, I'm not doing my job well. I didn't give him good enough options, whatever. But the person on the street could tell you that that's not the case. You know, like, it's so obvious that they do not have enough pieces to be competitive in this league, and they're not spending enough to that end. And you can hold, like, I mean, we've had conversations about, but if they spend $2 million on this player, which for them would be crazy money.
Would it though? Because they have been spending a lot in transfer fees.
No, but I mean the salary.
Oh, yeah.
I think, what is it? 1.77 is the highest salary somewhere, or 1.9, something like that. Like, that's been the highest.
Cavas.
So, but again, you can't factor what they're not spending, right? And it's also kind of awkward to factor in what they're spending on an eighth of the roster of a player who's not playing, which we'll talk about in a few moments. You know, like, so how can you expect people to believe you when you say oh no, we've given the coach more than enough. We give him all he needs. I mean,
what I would say is they're not too far out the playoff places just now at this point of the season.
Yeah, but it's 7 games. It's 8 games. Like, of course you're not.
I think you can't be 100% certain, obviously, because it's football. But the way that things have panned out, I don't see this being sustainable without these extra pieces coming in, because there's a massive gap. Now, Brian White could change things because, he just banged 2 goals in against Ogden.
I was going to say, he can score against Ogden at least.
Yeah. Or at least he can score. At least they got 4 goals and they kept a clean sheet. I'm taking that as a positive. But, we're being funny, but in all seriousness, I have high hopes for Brian White. And I genuinely feel he's going to finish the season with more goals than Lucas Cavallini. Which is going to raise a lot of questions if that is the case.
Hey, man, if the Whitecaps get better than a 1 goal per $1 million transfer fee on Cava, I think they'll be happy, no?
Yeah, but they need to add more pieces. I can't see them being competitive. Yes, they could sneak in, and yes, in the playoffs, every team can have its day. You can just ride some luck, get all the way to the final, and who knows what happens. That's a maybe fantasy world.
And again, I think this is where this goes back to me for communication is so important, right? I mean, we on one element we can talk about what the city of Vancouver and the supporters of Vancouver expect, and that's one conversation. But that's influenced by history and definitely influenced by the communication from the FO and from the owners. But their communication has also led people to have higher expectations than they should. Right, their expectation, going back to top
Jeff
25 in the world.
Yeah, and Jeff Mallett's saying top third of spending.
Top third of spending, top 25 in the world. Seattle will look like a picnic or whatever that thing was. Whoever, I don't know if it was Bobby who said something along those lines. All kinds of things that they talk about that create and they're doing it. They're doing because they have that. We have to sell tickets, and so we got to say things that sound good and look good and blah blah blah. But
I think they forget that it's always out there, though.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's going to just get brought up and up and up.
Well, but that's the thing, though, because when you go to meetings with these people and you bring up the past, they're like, no. We moved past that. We apologize, or we sort of pseudo apologize for that. Now we move on. In those supporter meetings, I don't know. You ever seen those reset those buttons from was it Home Depot or Staples or whatever? It's like a reset button or something. That's what being in those meetings was like. Every meeting, it would be like, hit the reset button. Let's start again. Let's start afresh. Forget about those mistakes we made, and let's everyone move forward. Let's get the synergy going. And it's
to be fair, though,
the issues of the past, you can't move forward.
No, but to be fair, we probably should, because Paul Barber said that he's gone about the top 25. Jeff Mallett said that if he comes out and says, look, our current plan is we're going to spend money on transfer fees to get in young talent that then doesn't get paid as much because the younger players don't command those big salaries, but they're going to be quality players. I'm fine with that.
Yes, but that's the thing. You're right. Paul Barber maybe shouldn't be brought because he no longer is a servant of the club. But Jeff Mallett is an owner of the club who made those statements to keep people hooked, to keep people engaged, to keep people paying them money. And he owes it, and they own it, and the ownership owns it, and the FO owns it, to say if that's changed, to say if there's a new way forward, and to explain it. They owe it to those people if they want those people to keep giving them their money, I think.
To be honest, though, I think there's going to be a lot of kind of clear the air meetings towards the end of this year between clubs, supporters, maybe supporters groups. I'm sure they'll have meetings with a lot of you guys. I think they'll have public forums. They'll have season ticket, because they've been away from the city for so long. And the last thing that I asked Axel there is how do you make the Whitecaps relevant in Vancouver again? The easy answer is a winning team on the pitch, obviously. If you're winning, it's like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. You build a winning team, they will come. But they've been away for so long This year will not be a problem selling tickets if it's limited tickets and folks just want to go and do stuff. Next season, they need to have these meetings. They need to set out, look, like what I said, we're not going to be spending money on salaries because we're going to spend it on transfer fees to get young talent. Fine, if they explain that, when the salaries come out, folk won't be like, oh, typical cheap Whitecaps. But if you look into it, there is a reason. Plus, if you add that DP or 2 DPs, the salary is going to go up a bit from where it is.
But Michael, the problem with having those type of meetings, because again, I've been in those meetings.
Oh, I've been in them too, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Of course you have. But like the problem is, it's like what's the little boy who cried wolf?
Yes.
Right? Like they don't have credibility. People don't believe them. People don't trust them. And again, going just back, what is it, like a year and a half? Like that's why people like Mark Panis, because he was honest and he owned mistakes and he was willing to actually do something, not just say, okay, let's restart. Okay, pretend everything else didn't happen. Let's go forward. He was like, no, let's deal with the issues so that we can actually move forward. So if they have those kinds of meetings, and it's, I think it's hard for a lot of people to actually trust them and believe that they're being honest.
No, that's totally fair. And this is going to sound weird. I was thinking about Mark Panis in the shower this afternoon because I do a lot of thinking and planning for the show when I'm having a shower. So I was thinking about what we're going to talk about with unpacks and unpacking Axel. And folk can't see this. Zach just looks appalled at that comment.
No, that's fine.
But
I also do a lot of thinking while I'm showering.
Yeah, what I was thinking about Mark was, it's like they've gone away. There's been the global pandemic. So they could have said, we hadn't expected any of this. If they had got rid of Mark before the pandemic started, they could be like, well, we didn't think this was all going to happen. Because, right, I'll go back a bit. How I got to think about this was Axel with his 2 jobs. Now, if this club was being run properly to begin with, and we had a semi-decent team on the pitch, one man can probably do those 2 jobs. It would still be very tough, but I think one man could do it. And I spoke to Axel end of last year, and I think I asked him, it was because it was after 1 year in the job, is it going to be difficult managing the two roles? And he said, well, no, because the team will all be built, and then I can just focus on the business side primarily because we won't be making too many additions. And if that had been the case, that's fine. But now you've got a sporting director that's still trying to build a team and get key pieces, and a CEO that's trying to make a team relevant in the city that they haven't played in since March last year. And as Axel said there, he's had 1 home game since he has been at the club.
But that's also either naive or ignorant of him, because, or he's been led astray because MLS roster building and roster maintaining is so much different than the places he's done it in the past. With the salary budget and all the umpteen mechanisms that are in place, you can't just keep going with the team. Like, I mean, look at like, let's use like Salt Lake or Kansas City, maybe, either of those. So, let's go with Salt Lake. Salt Lake wins in 2009, has this great group of players. They keep them together for as long as they can, but eventually either players need to get paid more and they can't keep them all together, so that some of them start to leave, like Will Johnson as one example. I know there's others, but Will's one that stands out. Kansas City, right? Finally, they had to make, I think, didn't they have to make Zusi or Beast or like DPs or like definitely TAM players and stuff? They had to do this because they couldn't, with the way the structure of their contracts and the amounts and with how the Strally thing.
Yeah, the way that's going, Russell Tyler's going to be a DP here in a couple of years' time.
But that's all these things are different, and without going and crunching the numbers and looking at everything, and I think it's different in the lower as you go down the pyramid in European leagues. But at that higher level that he has been a part of, it's much easier to like keep a roster together and only have to bring in a few players here or there. In MLS, you're usually having a swing of like at least a 30 roster, at least 10 players, if not more. Like to do less is kind of noticing. That's why people this year, I think, were like, wait, TFC. I heard you on in your conversation with Kristen from Vocal Minority. What, you guys didn't move anyone? You sign like one residency kid or whatever? Like that. It was for MLS. That's crazy. And I think that's partly the pandemic, and that we're doing some other stuff.
Yeah,
and they have brought in players now. Yeah. So, but it's in all that to say, in MLS, a technical director or sporting director job, or I guess in this case the CEO job that is overseeing that stuff, is always going to have a significant amount of time need to be spent on that, because there is so much happening there. And so again, either he's been led astray, he's being naive or ignorant about what that really takes.
But what I also then say,
he has said said, I have a good team and we're bringing in people, and they have done some of that.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was about to say, because he's surrounded on the playing and team building side. He's got a scouting network. Yeah. He's got all these other guys, and on the business side, they've brought in all these people that's going to make a lot of the decisions. Either way, I still think one man should not be doing both those jobs. Like you can maybe look at Peter Vermees. He's general manager of Kansas City and head coach. But look, as you've just said, they've had stability and something to build on that's been successful both on and off the park. And they've got buy-in, they've got sellouts, they've got big demand. It's an easier job.
Well, but also I think his titles are coach and general manager. I don't think he's the CEO.
No, right? It's just general.
So he's not
manager.
Technical director and in charge of all the business of the whole operation.
It was interesting, like Axel mentioned there, that he said, we'll evaluate everything and there'll be changes next year, was one of the phrases that he used. You could look at that on the personnel side, playing-wise, or whatever. He said the players that we brought in 2 years ago, he's going to kind of evaluate and see where they are, if they're the right decisions, and etc., etc. Some will be, some won't be. Jasa Kamiri obviously is a bust. We talked about this in our YouTube thing. The poor guy's injured again. I don't know how serious. Lower body injury, Zach.
Oh, right, sure.
Yeah, his hair band was not too tight. It's okay. But it's like, I feel sorry for the guy. He's made of glass, and it's a shame. But I mean, he's a guy that you can look at to be a bust. Eric Godoy, fingers crossed, will be a guy that you think, yep, this is a guy we're going to build the team around in the future, as long as he can stay healthy. But like going back to the whole Mark Panis thing, so the reason I thought about that was, like, if the Whitecaps hadn't got rid of Mark during the pandemic, like if they hadn't hired him to begin with, or they got rid of him before the pandemic really took hold and said, this isn't the way we want to go, then they could have used the pandemic as an excuse of, well, we didn't see this coming, you couldn't plan for this. But they got rid of him during the pandemic.
Yep.
So that you can't really use that as an excuse as to, I'm too busy, it's been really hard juggling the two jobs, which, to be fair, Axel did not say.
No.
Yeah, right. Let's get into some of the other stuff. Ali Adnan. We've talked about it ad nauseum. Mark's asked about it every time he basically has a call. So is Axel. I asked him again. I do feel they should just call it a day, let him free, go do what they want. You want to get some money back, obviously transfer value, but his transfer value has dipped a little bit. I mean, Axel said the club aren't looking to move him on, but kind of basically said they're sure that Ali wouldn't mind that situation if he moved on, because he just wants to play. But interesting that he could have played, if we were in Vancouver, he can play all the home games in Vancouver, but he can't then travel to play any away games. So at least if we get back to Vancouver in August, we've got Ali Adnan that's going to play the home games, and we've got more home games than away games. But that just shows you how ridiculous this whole work permit situation is. I still don't get it. Axel clearly doesn't get it either. I don't know what the problem has been. apart from the fact that he revealed that the work permit was not the length of the initial contract, and that's where the problem has arisen.
So whose fault is that?
I don't know.
I could guess.
I don't know if they thought we'll have him for a year, we'll move him on.
But
Pandemic hits, it's like, oh crap, we can't move him on. Now we can't get another work permit for him.
Isn't that so short-sighted and so like?
It is baffling.
So
he said it. I think he said they had to rush it through, and it was like because they were rushing it through, it was a different time or something. I'd need to go back and listen to exactly what he said.
Man, that sounds like par for the course with the Vancouver Whitecaps. Like, why would you do that? I mean, I guess part of their intention was to try and sell him for more than they paid for him, obviously, but still, like doesn't that make this situation even worse? Yeah. Like, imagine Marcus Santos. I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe he was involved in making that decision of, oh yeah, let's go for the visa.
I doubt it somehow.
Yeah. So like, oh man. But again, with the Vancouver Whitecaps, there's also the higher you go up is where, and maybe this is not different than most organizations. The higher you go up, the less accountability there is. So if you screw up and you're at the top, well, we know.
I mean, it's something I'd like to follow up on. As I said at the top here, it's like I was rapidly running out of time because I only had half an hour and we're going way over. So I'd like to, at some point, find out how, now that it's kind of sunk into me, how did that happen?
Yeah, because like that needs to be answered for. I mean, the Breck Shea thing we asked in a public forum, finally. Like, it was just like, this needs to be asked. And it was like, yeah, there was a mistake. And the person, well, I don't know if the person really owned it. We knew who the person was, but at least it was like in a public place on the record finally. Yeah. But like, and obviously that did nothing. It didn't matter that it cost them, whatever, $750,000, or let's say $300,000 to $350,000 more than they would have paid him. But like, yeah, I mean, this is, again, if you're Mark DeSantos, we talked about this before, maybe he's not super disappointed his contract's coming to an end if you're having to deal with this level of incompetency.
Yeah. But like, going back to what I asked, how do you make this team relevant in the city when they're struggling to get like media coverage? They've got a play-by-play guy that has a very popular podcast, lots of Twitter followers, hardly mentions the team. It's all Canucks. And I get that, that's his main audience. But surely if you're the play-by-play guy for the team, you want to help promote that team and have folk listening to your broadcasts. So, I mean, they need more media coverage. I mean, I was on the call with Max Crepeau during the week, and there was like 3 of us on it. So, I mean, that's just shows you where the interest is in the team just now. And I get it, because there's not a lot of column inches to fill. There's not a lot of actual paid media these days. There's that. Winning will get more interest, and I'm pretty sure when the team do return to Vancouver, they're going to do a big media blitz. But is it just down to winning? Is that all that really matters at this point?
But you can't. It can't just be about that, Michael. Like both long term and in the here and now.
Long term, no, but like short term, to try and get any kind of excitement.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then why would you build such a team that's lacking in so much quality? Like, that's not good enough. Like, I mean, yeah. Axel knows this. I mean,
oh yeah,
I can't go into the details, but Axel knows that winning can't be the only thing you're about, like, because you're not always going to win. And then what do you do? But I mean, yeah, I mean, for me, they won't do this, and they don't have time to do this, and they don't have people who are interested in doing this. They don't have the energy for this. But like, you need to make this a community thing. You need to make this more than about money, and even more than about the sport. You need to make it, make it bigger than that.
Well, I mean, Axel talked there, and I'm curious to get your take on this, because obviously you know all about German football. He talked about they've introduced a membership system at the Whitecaps, similar to what they have in Europe, where the people. I know it's not similar, but it's like he where the folk feel like they're owners. But it's different because in Europe you are, and you've got more of a say.
Yeah.
That's never going to fly in North American sport, apart from maybe places like Detroit City or clubs that's forward-thinking and progressive like that.
Comparing what the Whitecaps are doing to what happens in Germany is ludicrous. It's not even in the same region. What the Whitecaps did was they said, hey, what gym memberships do is really great. It's hard to get out of those. It's less work for the admin people. You sign up and then you have to actually cancel and fill out all this paperwork to actually get out of it.
So is this Steve Nash's idea?
No, I don't know if it's no. Actually, what it was, from my understanding, is there's. I think the Whitecaps were early on this in North America. They were the second or third or something, but they were modeling it after a team in somewhere in the States that wasn't. I don't think it was football. There was some team in some other sport in the States that began to do this and found it meaningful and saved them time, therefore saved them money. Blah blah blah. That's why they did it. It's totally about saving time and saving money and saving energy. Like that. That's why they did it. As opposed to them calling you and saying, "Hey, do you want to buy tickets again for next year?"
Oh yeah, just all
you're already in. You have to jump through their hoops to get out. And so yeah, I mean, in Germany, the membership thing is you pay something to be a member that's outside of your season tickets. Now it opens you up to. I think different clubs do it different ways, but it opens you up to being able to get access to certain things, of course. But yeah, the big thing is you vote at the members. You vote for the membership meetings or for the membership meetings. This stuff, right? There's things you actually vote on, and so the closest, and it's not that close really, but I think the and it pains me to say this, and get a donut out for yourself and go.
You're going to say Seattle with their alliance.
Seattle at least tried to do something that had more weight than but it's not perfect and not.
No, I was going to actually say to you, does the way that alliance council that Seattle have, is that the way forward that you'd like to see short term for North American sports? Because obviously it's not going to change overnight. It's not going to be fan ownership in MLS anyway.
I can't remember all the details of how they run it, but all I remember is well,
you get voted in for a term. Like Hanauer, I can't even say.
Yeah, it's like
Adrian. Let's just call him Adrian. He gets voted in for a term,
right?
And then he can run again. And
don't they have a say on like Garth Lagerwey or something too, like that position?
Possibly.
But anyways,
I like it because there's accountability, which is the big thing that we've talked about for years.
Which is why it's hard to see it in Vancouver, because there would be people who would not be voted in. Let's put it that way. So yeah, I think that is, and again, without remembering all the details of it, I used to know more about it. I think that's a step in the right direction. You're right. It's a positive step. Is it the be all and the end all? No, I think there's more to it than that. And I think there's even potential to see that at different levels in our country, hopefully. Having been engaged with some CPL conversations over the last 4 or 5 years, there are people in some of those conversations who are open to differing degrees of what it looks like to actually have the supporters, the fans, be more a part of the club, not just customers of the club, right? And that's one of the things that is exciting. And obviously that's not something that's universal in the CPL, but there are people who are open to that. And I hope that whatever happens in the Lower Magna with CPL, I hope that there's some kind of element to that, or I hope there's some steps in a positive direction when it comes to that with the Canadian Premier League in the Lower Mainland. When will that happen? I haven't talked to anyone I've talked to people since you and I've last talked about it, but I don't have any updates on timelines.
No, like right now I'm just excited for PCSL that's going to be getting underway very shortly, end of this month. And then like the Canadian National League that's going to be starting, and then the BC League One that's going to be starting, or I say Canadian National League is going to be starting, possibly it's going to be starting next year, and then
is that the pseudo D2?
That's the pseudo D2 league. Yeah,
that's like, I don't think that's going to be a sanctioned league, is it?
They're hoping it is.
I don't think that's going to be sanctioned. I at this moment right now, I can't see them actually being sanctioned by the CSA. It's people who probably have some good desires and objectives and stuff, but I think some of their ideas are counter to some of the things that are happening in club football in Canada, and therefore I think they won't be sanctioned. Would be my no one's told me that. I'm not like, that's not insider information. That's just my take on things from what I know and how I look at it at this moment. Does that mean they can't run their own league or do whatever?
Yeah, I mean, it might not be what they're looking for. It might not be D2, but I think there will be something. But we'll get into that another day. Let's get back to the Whitecaps. So yeah, we know where the holes are. We've talked about a lot of that before. No point going over it again. We need to strengthen. Glory Amanda, we've talked about it before, asked Axel about it. Glory had an interesting chat with Steve Sandor in the Edify website and magazine that Stephen runs. And basically Glory said, I want to turn professional. I want that to be with Vancouver because I know the city, I know the club, but they haven't made me an offer yet. So I asked Axel, and he's like, I haven't seen that interview. We're aware of him, we're looking at it. And I asked Axel, where's he going to fit in if you've added Brian White? And obviously he can fit in because Glory can be a young guy that comes off the bench. Like if you're starting Cava and Brian White, Glory can be the guy that comes on. So there is a place for him to fit in. I was hoping to maybe get an answer from Axel that I didn't really get on that. But they're aware of him, they're looking at him, they just haven't offered him a deal yet. I would have thought that was a priority. You don't want to let him get away.
Okay, taking all these public comments at face value, because you and I both know that this could be posturing, this could be other stuff. How do you not do what you can to sign Glory Amanda? If and I think it is, if part of what they were trying to do is buy younger players and sell them on for more, why would you not?
A Mac Herman Trophy winner with an amazing backstory that you could market so much, and a brother that's playing here as well. And they've come out of refugee camps. He's been at the same club as Alphonso Davies. Exactly. All that.
They can tie it into their favorite marketing. Like it.
And I know it's not just about marketing for footballers. You've got to do it on the pitch, but it's a golden goal for them. It's a gift.
It is unbelievable that
get it done and sign him up.
The comments that Mark DeSantis and Axel Schuster have made on that subject are
concerning.
And now, to be fair, one or both of them might just say, "Yeah, we don't rate him. We think he's overrated, or the level, or the whatever." Maybe they have some reasons, but from where you and I sit, it feels ludicrous. Like it doesn't. It feels absolutely ridiculous.
Well, hopefully they do. I mean, it could also be about money as well. It's that he may, as you say, it could be posturing. Maybe he's going public. I want to join to try and force them to offer him a better contract than they're probably offering him. Because if he was allowed to go into the draft next year, he would get Generation Adidas as the Mac Herman Trophy winner.
Yep.
And he'd then have a bumper salary guaranteed for about 2, 3, maybe even more years, depending on games played and stuff.
But can he go into the draft if they have his rights?
No. So that's the problem.
Right.
But yeah, I mean but we'll get into that, I'm sure. But
just so people know, if there's newer-ish listeners out there, I mean, again, maybe ignoring the face value comments, there have been multiple players who have done everything they could so that the Whitecaps did not hold their rights in MLS in the past, including playing in college and then moving on to other places and stuff. So maybe he really doesn't want to be here, and he's just, his comments have something to do with what he really wants to do.
I don't think so. I think he genuinely does.
I
want to start his pro career here, but he probably will want to move on quickly. But this is an ideal place for him to start. I
would love to see him play in Vancouver. See, we've seen him play a bunch over the years, and I would love to see him do that. And I think it would be awesome for a year or two before he hopefully moves on to ideally Europe.
Got to find a place on the roster for him, of course, which is possibly tricky, but we'll see what happens there. But I mean, the Whitecaps, they're back at it on Friday night. I actually thought the game was on Saturday, but when I was getting things ready for this, I saw it was on Friday night against Real Salt Lake, and they're home away from home. We're not going to delve too much into that because we're hoping to do a preview show with Joe and the guys during the week to get into that. But are you excited to see them back, or is that the last thing you need with all this feast of football on just now? I've been quite happy for the break, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
Whitecaps have dropped in the standings, though. They're now 11th because there was a game yesterday. Austin and Sporting Kansas City drew 1-1 at Sporting Kansas City on Saturday afternoon. Austin had a test event to have fans in at their new stadium that's going to be opening, I think, this weekend. And it looks great. I so want to go down and see a game down there at some point. So the fans were really up for it. They got to see a 1-1 draw. They showed the game on the big screen. So, I mean, that was good. But 7 o'clock kickoff away to RSL on Friday night. 3 weeks later, we face them again. This time as hosts. And it's one of the 3 games that we talked about that the Whitecaps are selling tickets for. Baffling in many ways because you're selling tickets in Utah to take on the team from Utah, and the whole point of it was, well, there's fans down there that want to come and support us and thank us for being there, so you're selling tickets against the team that they support. Okay, we heard Axel's thoughts on it there, which I'll come to in a sec. I want to just play first a little bit of audio from Mark DeSantis. I asked him about that, and not as excited that the fans are going to be in there. Here's what Mark had to say. Just touching on the fans aspect, the club's letting fans into the 3 of the home games, 2 of them against LA, 1 against RSL. I know it's not going to be the same, but are you kind of excited at all for that, or are you just kind of keeping an eye just now on the border? Obviously, the NHL's got an exemption for the Canadians to travel back and forward. Are you just hoping it's going to be a matter of time now until?
I've been hoping since March of 2020, and things have been dynamic and things have changed a lot. So right now, I don't live in a fairy tale and think, are we going to go back home in this date or this date? I just let things go. I'm not excited when it's fans from the other team. I don't know why somebody would be excited to go play Kansas City in Kansas with the fans of Kansas City. I don't see excitement.
I was meaning more the LA game, because there's fans in Salt Lake that want to come and support the Whitecaps, it appears.
I hope. So that's a good point. If it's us playing Salt Lake with the fans of Salt Lake, that doesn't excite me, I'll be honest with you. Against the LA Galaxy, I don't know. I know, and we have somebody from Salt Lake that could help me more with that. There's a big Mexican community, right, in Salt Lake City. And if they all come more to push and to cheer for Chicharito and Jonathan Dos Santos, it's not exciting for us either, you know. I'll be excited the day where we play home and it's our fans and it's our flags and it's blue and white and they push for us and it's our city. As long as we don't have that, I have to be honest with you, Michael, I don't get excited with the fans of the other teams.
So Mark DeSantis there, not really, as he said, why would I be excited about having fans coming in that is possibly going to be cheering against us? But I asked Axel about it, and he said the answer's simple, and it isn't money. I thought it might have had something to do with that, but they asked the players, and he said the players, to a man, would rather have fans in, even if they're rooting against them, than having an empty stadium. And I kind of get that, because footballers love to silence fans as well. But against RSL, I just think it's a bad decision. The Galaxy, I think it makes sense, but I mean, Mark raised an interesting point there that I hadn't thought about. you're going to get a lot of Mexican fans that are turning up to cheer on Chicharito.
Of course, he's not going to say it's about money, but
unless he's at the Gold Cup, of course, he might not be.
Oh, yeah. But here's the thing. They might say it's not about money, but there's no way that the Whitecaps are doing this if they're going to lose money. Right? There's no they would doing this if they weren't confident that they have a chance of not losing / making money, trying to offset some of their costs of doing all the things that they're doing this year.
I genuinely don't know how much money you're going to make from a limited couple of thousand tickets, though.
But if you have to, if there's only, let's say, 2,000 tickets, and then the number of people they have to staff the stadium with is less, so maybe it costs those things balance out, or I don't know. Maybe they're all 200.
I disagree. I don't think it's anything at all money. I think it's just that they want to have, the players want to have some kind of normal atmosphere. I mean, Mark's sounding down about the whole thing. He's sounding like, not just this, like, he sounds fed up with being away, understandably. The fact that he did get home to see his wife and family for a couple of days is probably going to make it worse, because it's like, I'm missing this. I can't go out even when I get back because of all the restrictions. I can't take the kids places, and now I'm away again. And I mean, it's tough, and it sounds that it's getting to him a little bit. From what I've heard, he's still upbeat and motivational with the players and stuff like that. But I think at times, speaking to the media, it's going to come across when you're asking him about it. He's an honest man. He wears his heart on his sleeve. It's bound to get to you by this stage.
Yeah, I mean, I feel really bad for Mark and the situation that he's in and the situation that they're in, and I can't imagine what it is to have to go and do your job, but like in a different country. like that. Like, I know we're all, like, life's different for everyone in these last 15, 16 months. But that's on a different level.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that the longest, I've been married to Caitlin for 19 years. We've been together for 20 years. The longest time I've spent away from her, I think, is 3 weeks. In one lump, and that felt a long time being away. I can't imagine what being away for months on end, seeing your kids grow up through a computer screen. Because there was one, this is a completely different kind of thing, I know, but when we had our last dog, Bailey, he was a puppy. We went on a 3-week cruise, and our good friends looked after him. We came back, and all his little baby puppy teeth had gone for big adult dog teeth. And it was like such a shock, because he looked like a different dog. That's a dog. Kids, like, you're going to go away, you're going to come back, they're taller, they're learning different things. It's unfathomable how hard that must be. But anyway, hopefully they will be back soon. And I'm thinking they'll be back in August. I don't know if fans will be back in August, but I think the team could be back in August.
Yeah, more likely September, based on...
I think September for fans, but I think you could have the team at BC Place in August.
There's been going on about how this NHL provision in the playoffs should open the door for...
Yeah, barring any more weird variants getting in the way. But it looks like the border is going to partly open to fully vaccinated folks, so that's going to help as well. But the Whitecaps are back in action, as we said, and they had a warm-up against Ogden on Friday, 4-0 against the USL 2 side. And it was a pretty... We haven't seen the full lineup, I don't think. It was a pretty full-strength team. A brace from White. Great to see him getting his first goals in a Whitecap jersey. Dahomey got a goal, and a bicycle kick from Cam Habibullah. Great finish. Theo Bair with a header that was saved, and then Cam acrobatically puts it away. So it's a good warm-up, it's a confidence booster. The thing is, after 27 days off, you genuinely don't know what you're getting from this Whitecaps team. Are they going to be up for it? Are they going to be fully motivated? Are they going to be a little bit flat and take a little bit of time finding their feet? But I mean, the game, I don't know what to expect. I want to delve into something that we don't do a lot of here, like looking at some of the stats, because I was having a look at this after something I read on the MLS website, and then I dug a little bit more on it, and it's like horrendous. The attacking offensive output from the Whitecaps so far in the first 7 games. They've got the second lowest expected goals per 90 minutes.
But that's expected.
Yeah. But it's different. The stats that they used and the stats that I pulled up here were a little bit different. So I'm looking at footy stats. And what they've got here is the expected goals is 0.92. So they're not even expected to get 1 goal a game. Interestingly, their expected goals away from home is 1.03, but their expected goals at home is 0.77. So they are the away team on Friday, but it's their home stadium. So I don't know where we fall in. But basically,
they're
not even expected to score a goal a game, but their goals against average is 1.6.
But that's also all kinds of awkward, right? Because of the fact that, they're not playing at home. But, I mean, it's also maybe, I think the Whitecaps, that does also make sense, though, because the Whitecaps do tend to struggle when they're at home because they feel like they have to perform as opposed to get the result. Or, play to they have to play it away to maybe try and make people in the stands happy about how they're playing as opposed to just focusing on doing what might be best to get the result. Whereas on the road, you can do that. But I don't know if that should correlate to expected goals, but
this is what I think is a particularly damning stat now. I'll just give the average, doesn't matter home or away. 11.29 is the shots taken in a game. That's their average.
Wow.
So that means there's been a couple that's been a bit more, and obviously there's been a few that's been a lot left. Their shots conversion rate is 8%.
How does that compare to the league?
So that I don't have. I'll have a look into that. What I do have, though, is like some of the expected goals overall for some of the other teams. So like San Jose's 1.8, Nashville's 1.76, New England 1.62, Minnesota 1.53, Kansas City 1.53. So, I mean, you go all the way down, and the Whitecaps are currently ranked 22nd in expected goals in MLS. The only teams below them are Salt Lake, which is maybe good news for Friday, or we could have a 0-0 game coming up, Austin, and Miami, despite all the money that they've spent. So what are you expecting then from Friday, Zach?
I think that RSL is, as the home team with having fans supporting them, is going to be lifted by that. So I think that will help them. It will be an intangible that will help them. And I'm expecting RSL to win. But I think that Cava's not going to be able to play, right? Or he might be back, but
I guess he technically could, because it's like they're in Chicago. No, they don't have to because they're fully vaccinated. They can return to the fold right away.
So
I don't know that he'll start. I guess it depends what minutes he gets on Tuesday. I guess against Haiti. If he's only off the bench.
I was going to guess White's going to start this. Yeah. I think it's going to be like a 2-1, 3-1 Salt Lake game, but Vancouver will get a goal and it'll be either White, Cava, or Dahomey, which is, I know, a crazy prediction.
I think it's going to be 2-1 RSL as well, and I probably think it's going to be White that gets it, but that would mean an open goal.
And for those
open play goal.
For those missing Steve, actually no, White could score on a header on a corner or a free kick.
That's true.
For those who are missing Steve, I'll just say I'm guessing Steve's prediction would be 2-1 to Vancouver based on mine and your prediction.
Well, we'll put that down as his prediction anyway. Yeah, but we'll see what happens. I think we've done enough chat for this show. I wasn't planning on it going as long as this, but there was a lot to unpack. But we hopefully will be back with a preview show later in the week. I'll just end, though, with wavelength, because we've got to have a wavelength. There's always time for that. And as regular listeners will know, I'm playing you a selection of Scottish Euro 2020 songs. This is one by a Dundee band. Have to be careful how I say this name. It's the Cundies, and from Dundee. And they're a punk band from Tayside. This is their song, Kilts On, Taps Off. The Cundies there. Kilts on, taps off. You going to get your taps off tomorrow, Zach, for Scotland? It's 6 a.m, so probably not.
I hope to be awake for the game.
I hope to be awake for the game. Maybe, depending how
Saturday
it goes.
was no problem. Sunday was a little bit more of a problem. Monday.
I've got to get this edited before I go to bed and then hopefully get up. But I'm going to leave my phone off in case I end up watching it as live a little bit later so that I don't spoil anything.
Okay, so I won't message you. I won't, unless you message me saying you're watching, I won't message you.
Okay, because Kenny Dooker, the former RSL and East Fife player, has said if I don't get up for this, he's going to be calling me and messaging me. But if my phone's off, he can't get through. So there we go. But that is it for this week's show. Hope you've enjoyed our chat. Back chatting about the Whitecaps. We're back watching them playing soon. Just before we go though, Zach, let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at Zachary M, talking about Euro predictions, Euro goals, Euro kits, that kind of stuff.
I'm Michael McCall. Follow me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Read all our stuff away from the numbers, aftn.ca. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to leave us a good review, great. If you don't want to leave us a good review, then yeah, don't bother. Check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/AFTN Canada. Please subscribe. We'd got up to 401 subscribers, but we've gone down to 400 again.
Oh.
So some folk have dropped off. I think they just teased us on the day, potentially.
It might have been some of those Haitian supporters.
Yeah, possibly. They weren't happy at the end of the stream, were they? But check that out. You can check out our 2-part watch-along, as it ended up being. We've also got our Euro preview show up in there. And don't forget, episode 1 of our game show pulled off at half-time. We'll hopefully get round to doing episode 2 soon. But that is it for this episode of the AFTN Soccer Show. Thanks as always for listening. Really appreciate you giving your time to us in a busy month of football. We will be back soon. Until then, stay safe, take care, and mon the Caps, Canada and Scotland.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers, away from the numbers.